Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our presentation of Webinar Wednesday. My name is Carol Ashburn. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Prophesy, a HighJump division. I'd like to apologize. I know we had planned to do a live webinar for you today. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty that prevented us from doing that, but I hope that you will enjoy this recorded version and have it to refer back to as you like as we cover 5 things that transportation companies need to know in Q4. That is the fourth quarter of 2015 as we head into the new year in 2016. I will be presenting this webinar today in tandem with Jay Votzakis, our sales manager, who will be joining us later on in the webinar. And we just wanted to cover a few things that are new in the industry and things that are helpful to know as your company grows and gets ready for a brand new year. So without further ado, let's get started. Today we'll be covering 5 things that we feel that trucking companies need to know in Q4. There's a lot going on in the industry. We'll cover an update on the hours of service regulations. We'll also cover an update on the new ELD mandate that's coming up. We'll cover some key strategies for retaining quality drivers, a tip where to find discounts on supplies that you already purchased, and some ways to eliminate manual processes and become more efficient while improving your customer service level. It's an exciting time to be in trucking. Fuel prices are low. Demand is high. Fuel prices, I noticed, saw an article this morning that they're going down again after a small uptick, so that's some great news. And we thought we'd pass along some recent industry developments as well as some tips and tricks for you. The first thing we'll cover is an update on the hours of service regulations. This change to the hours of service regulations went into place in December of 2014, and it essentially repealed the restart provisions that had been put into place back in 2013 in order to allow more study of how these regulations might affect drivers. So, however, this temporary suspension is set to end this month in September when the FMCSA issues its final report. So we've covered a bit of that here on this slide, talking about the details, the restart regulations. But enforcement of these regulations was put on hold, as we mentioned back in December, so that they could further study. The study is now, at this point, been completed, and the temporary suspension is set to be lifted on September 30th, at the end of this month, or upon submission of the final report, whichever comes last. So if they don't issue it exactly on the 30th, that suspension will remain in effect until they do. But all indicators are pointing toward things being on time, and we're expecting to see an update come from FMCSA. You can watch for the latest on their website, which I've got on the screen here. It's www.fmcsa.dot.gov. That will always have the latest information, as they are the organization that issues those mandates. And of course, as always, complete hours of service regulations are outlined on the FMCSA site, and I've got the link there for you, which we will also include when we send out the recording of this webinar. So you'll have those links to access them and be up to date on all that is the latest. Let's take a look about what the FMCSA study took into account. Here's a bit more information about what the FMCSA has been studying over the past year, and we should hear more when the final report comes out later this month. They're studying basically the effect on drivers of the 2 different sets of rules, the operational, safety, health, fatigue impacts of the recently suspended restart provisions, comparing data collected before the restart changes were put into effect as well as after, just to see how it affected fatigue, alertness, health outcomes, and safety. So moving along to the ELD mandate, the electronic logging device mandate. This has been kicking around the industry for quite some time. Before we get into an update of where it stands, I thought we'd briefly just recap what the mandate is and what it covers. Under the new mandate, which is set to become mandatory at the end of this month, it'll be required to have an electronic logging device synchronized with the engine of a truck It automatically captures the engine power status, vehicle motion status, miles driven, and engine hours. Recording location information will require an automated entry at each change of duty status at 60-minute intervals while the commercial motor vehicle is in motion, and engine on and engine off status instances at the beginning and end of personal use and yard moves. So basically, kicking and recording all of the movements of the truck and documenting that electronically. There's some parameters at the bottom of what the device must utilize as far as the method of communication, Bluetooth, wireless web, email, printouts. The big thing as part of the ELD mandate is that it must be tamper-proof so that it is a true black and white recording of movements of your truck. Some additional information about the ELD mandate details. When it's passed, ELDs will be required for drivers that are currently subject to paper logs. There's a specific reference there if you wanted to look up the details, 395.8 record of duty status. Another good thing, just as a check and balance in here, is they've stipulated that ELD vendors will be required to have their products certified as compliant through a third party. They won't be able to self-certify that they meet FMCSA requirements. This places the compliance responsibility on the vendor rather than the end user. So you are covered if your ELD is certified as compliant. So the latest on this mandate, as of July 30th, the rule was sent to the White House Office of Management and Budget for final review before publication. They've had that for quite some time, and it looks as though everything is on schedule by all indicators, so we're expecting that the final rule will be published on September 30th, 2015, as projected. And the good news with that is drivers and carriers have 2 years after the official ruling, assuming that it happens on the 30th, we have 2 years to become compliant with that, so until October 17th, or 2 years following the official ruling release date. So how are we at HighJump handling the ELD mandate? What are we rolling out to offer to our customers to integrate the ELD mandate with our solutions here at Prophesy and HighJump? We've got an integration with the Rand McNally ELD in the works right now. It will be available in early Q1 2016. Following that, we are currently planning to release ELD integration for OmniTrax and PeopleNet in the second quarter of 2016. And we'll make bundling one of these with your Prophesy Dispatch software simple using our compliance and connectivity bundle. That bundle will contain the new hours of service module and also your MobileCom integration for Prophesy Dispatch. And each of these options offer a means to integrate your Prophesy partnered ELD provider with your Prophesy Dispatch software. So the solutions that have partnered with Prophesy will have an easy means to plug into your overall TMS in Prophesy Dispatch. And moving on past some of the legislation with the industry being so hot right now, I wanted to cover just a few strategies for holding on to one of your most precious resources, your drivers, and quality drivers at that. As the industry heats up, the demand for dependable drivers does too. This section covers some creative ways that you can work to improve driver satisfaction with your company. According to several studies we've reviewed, it takes much more than money to improve job satisfaction. While an increase in driver pay is an obvious incentive and it would certainly go a long way, without having unlimited disposable income to pay drivers increases at any point, what are some other ways that we can use to make them really enjoy working for your company and want to remain there for a long time? Appreciation and respect were identified often as key factors in driver turnover. As with anywhere, folks just want to feel appreciated and respected, and little things that we can do can go a long way in recognizing their efforts and just making them feel part of the team. So we've outlined a couple of strategies. You may be doing some of these, and maybe some of these are new ideas or things that you hadn't thought of. So we offer these just as food for thought of ways to help make your drivers feel a part of your company and really set your company apart while maintaining low cost as part of these efforts. So some of these might be to feature Driver of the Month within the office and on your company website, or recognize and promote the efforts of your best employees. Maybe mention them in a company newsletter or display something in your office just recognizing that Driver of the Month. Another thing that came up is having a real hassle-free means for the drivers to communicate their needs to your management. Design a hassle-free, simple maintenance request process. Make it easy for them to get what they need and get back on the road. Of course, treating them like family, recognizing birthdays, anniversaries, birth of new children, and other significant events in their lives. Help them realize that you care and you are tuned into what's going on with them and their family as well. For long trips, establishing a driver audio book and music lending library, keep things fresh on the road, letting them swap resources and stay entertained and up to date and informed while they're on the road. Maybe have small welcome home gifts for long over the road trips. Nothing big, it's just something to show appreciation and commitment from their company. Perhaps hosting a driver appreciation cookout or lunch once or twice a year. Something like that can really build community spirit in your office. Involve your drivers in your company by utilizing their input. Invite them maybe to serve on a safety committee. Encourage feedback to develop optimal routes. Just using their input and their expertise of what they've seen on the road and what they've experienced on their trips to help improve your company. And most of all, just creating a pleasant work environment that recognizes the efforts of drivers, treats them as part of the team, and fosters real community spirit in your office. And moving on to something that can really help your bottom line as the owner or transportation manager of your company, finding discounts on things you already need to buy for your company. In the interest of full disclosure, I must tell you that Prophesy and Truckers B2B have had a long-standing relationship. Many of our customers are also Truckers B2B members, and to date, it is the most powerful small business buying co-op that exists in the trucking industry. It really is a valuable service, so we thought that we would bring that to your attention so that maybe you can benefit from it as well. The concept of Truckers B2B was to create a way for small to mid-sized trucking companies to save money through negotiated discounts, much like the larger fleets receive because of their size. Truckers B2B has essentially negotiated these deals on behalf of their members, and enrolling in Truckers B2B is free. So that gets you access to the discounts and doesn't cost you anything. So just a little bit on the screen about Truckers B2B. Again, membership is free and can earn you discounts on everything from tires to fuel, office solutions, and more. And Prophesy is one of the providers that does offer discounts through Truckers B2B. You can visit their website to see all of what they offer. Their URL is truckersb2b.com. Feel free to check them out and see if that's something that might work for you. And our fifth point today is just finding ways to become more efficient. Some of you are already using Prophesy Dispatch as a TMS solution, and wanted to include a bit about that for those of you that haven't made that transition yet or maybe using one of our tools products. How a TMS solution overall can help make your team more efficient in Q4 and beyond into 2016 and years to come. TMS can eliminate manual processes like paper and whiteboards and speed your operations and improve efficiency. It allows you to start with the basics, as some of you have with our IFTA software or IFTA fuel tax reporting software, mileage and routing, that sort of thing, and add on as your needs grow. And a true TMS like Prophesy Dispatch handles everything from dispatch to IFTA, billing, driver pay, all in one complete solution where everything is integrated, works together, and you can access everything related to your operation in one complete solution. So we thought we'd take a moment, and I'm going to hand the microphone over to my colleague, Jay Votzakis, our sales manager here, to give a small demonstration of Prophesy Dispatch and just a quick overview of how everything works together and how it can work for you.
Thanks, Carol. One of the best ways a trucking company can streamline their processes and protect themselves from oversight is with a TMS system like Prophesy Dispatch. Here's a quick overview of some key areas of the system. Where I'd like to begin is up in the top left-hand corner under the word maintain, where there's some basic setup that needs to take place. Like any system, it needs to be set up properly in order to function properly, specific to your operation. First thing I'm going to go into is drivers. As a general rule in our system, the green fields are required, the white fields are optional. So you'll see here there's very few that are required, and that holds true throughout the entire system. We make it very flexible for you. Driver's personal information along the top. The driver's CDL is up in the top right-hand corner, and the system will warn you when that's going to expire. In the middle section is where you'll set up and define how a driver is to be paid. In this case, it's a payroll driver. He gets paid something I've called 35 cents loaded and 35 cents empty. So basically, this driver is getting 35 cents on all miles, and this is a list of rate schedules that you can create. You can create anything you want, attach it to the driver, and it'll auto-calculate the pay. Over here on the left-hand side where it says expirations, it's going to track any of these other expirations as well and provide you with warnings as well. Right-hand side where it says document imaging, you have the ability to scan, in this case, scan in or attach documents or records to a driver, in this case, driver named Adams. I've scanned in a driver application form as an example, but you can put any qualification forms in here, photographs, CDLs, anything at all, and it'll be attached to the driver within the system. The next thing going down my list, you won't necessarily set up all this stuff. It's very specific to what you need. Tractors. All you technically need here is a number, a unit ID number in the top left-hand corner. You'll see a lot of other information, but it's not required. That'll be up to you. There's also an imaging tab here if you wanted to attach or scan documents that relate to this tractor unit. Trailers, same type of thing. All you need is a number. Everything else is optional. And there's an imaging button here as well if you wanted to track that or scan documents into that. Customer, shipper, consignee locations. Any place that you'll pick up at, deliver to, or invoice. The three primary components that are going to make up your load ultimately, which we'll see in a few minutes. Again, green fields are required. There's a lot of information you can track in here. Once you set up these IDs and these locations one time, they're going to be set up forever, so you don't need to recreate them each and every time. And you can also create these on the fly when you're building a load, so you don't have to have everything set up ahead of time. The next thing I'm going to do is go into my dispatch board, one of two different dispatch boards. I'll do an overview first, and I'll go back through and create a load and bring it through the whole process. I am on pending loads right now. Pending loads in my system are loads that you're doing. They're set up, just not assigned to any drivers yet. And you can see in my case they're yellow, but you can choose your own color. As I scroll over to the right, there are all sorts of fields you can use. What you can do by user, each person in your company that logs into the system can customize their own view. Pick the columns you want, pick the ones you don't want. The ones you don't want, you pull off to the left. It'll reset your board. It'll remember the settings by user ID. So every time you log in, it'll have your settings the way you left them, have the columns where you left them, and have whichever columns you want to appear on there, just like you left it. And every person, again, can do it differently. It is user definable. The assign board simply means this load has been assigned to a driver. Again, a whole other series of columns that you can customize what you see. Different color coding as well. The in route board means the driver has picked up. If you do this in your operation, if you mark them loaded, you can mark them loaded in here. It'll appear as an in route load. And again, another series of columns. You can choose what you see. The active load board gives you the opportunity to see all three of those categories at one time, what we consider active. You can also sort any column you want. And this holds true pretty much throughout the entire system. Depends what you want to see and how you want to see it. The completed board means the load has been delivered. Not necessarily billed, but delivered. We have a frequent load board. So if you do repetitive type work, whether it's once in a while you do the same load or you do it every day or 10 times a day, you can come in here and copy those loads. So you don't have to recreate the same data over and over and over. You can split your board, top left-hand corner. This basically gives you the opportunity to see two boards at once. You can resize them. And you can show any category in top, any category in the bottom. Completely up to you and what you want to see. The second dispatch board I want to get into, we call the load scheduler. And it's all the same information. It just looks different, totally different. Over here on the left-hand side is our pending loads now. Again, they're not in a yellow grid. They're in a list. As I float my mouse around over here, you see a little bit more information about each load. In the middle is all my drivers, and in the far right is a list of what they're doing, or a grid of what they're doing basically for the week. Now, this week timeline can be set up however you want. You can do 1 day, 1 hour timeline for more local type of work. You can do 3 days. You can do 1 week, 1 month, whatever works for what you need to see at that moment. Starting on the top, you can see driver name Adams here has a big red X under the L. That's telling me his license has expired. Big red bar going across as well. Just one of the ways that we warned. The next driver down, Bass. He's on a load in green, which means he's currently on his way to Dallas, supposed to be there at 12:30 today. After that, he's pre-assigned on his next load, according to the schedule that is set up. He's supposed to pick up in Dallas and go back down to Houston, so he's booked out through tomorrow. If that works for you, then you're happy. Next driver down, same type of thing. He's on a load on his way to Stafford, Texas for 12:30, and then he's pre-assigned on his next load already. Supposed to be in West Laco tomorrow morning. Jumping down here to driver Brown. He's on a load on his way to San Antonio for 3 o'clock today. After that, he's got nothing assigned. So if I go over to the left and click on a load that originates here in San Antonio, looks like it's going to Chicago, it's also telling me he will be 0 miles away from that load. So we have a proximity column. Whenever you click on an origin, it gives you the proximity in miles each of your drivers will be from that load. You can see it changing. You can sort by that column as well if there's any value there. So let's take this load, San Antonio to Chicago. I'm going to go ahead and assign it to that driver. Get him pre-assigned on that. Click on it, drag it over his name, drop it, click yes. It's going to go ahead now. It's going to fill in my grid. He's now pre-assigned on his next load from San Antonio to Chicago for a couple days out. This driver is on a load from Jacksonville to Hartford for a while. This driver down here is on vacation, so you can schedule time off so you can know you don't assign drivers. This driver up here, the license coming due, so it's yellow, and you can see where the grid begins to turn yellow over here. It's coming due. It's not even expiring until May. Moving along. Let's go ahead and set up a load now. Bring it through the whole process. Book new, top left-hand corner. I'm going to choose a customer from my pull-down menu here. Then I start typing. It does an auto search. The more you type, the closer it gets to what you're looking for. I'm going to click that in there, and that's going to be the person that will be getting the bill for this load. First location ID by default will be my pickup, my P, because you can't deliver something until you pick it up. So I'm going to go ahead and just do the same type of thing here. It does an auto search. I'm going to choose the same location as the shipping location, even though it does not have to be. And it fills in all the information from the database. And there's several columns to the right here that you can also use, and you can also move these around. If you just want to use a zip code or a city and state combination, you can do that. If you put a zip code in there, the system will auto-populate city and state for you. If you just realize you're picking up or delivering to a brand new location, You can come over here, hit new location, add it. It'll be in my database immediately, at which point you can come to your pull down here and choose your company. So we'll say this load's going from Chicago to Hartford. I'm going to go ahead and put some dates in here. You can certainly type. Or you can double click. Any date field can be double clicked. We'll say it's going to deliver Monday morning at 10 a.m., 3 a.m. In the middle section, totally optional. You can leave it blank if you wish, but let's go ahead and add some commodity or some goods in there. You can make this list yourself. So whatever it is that you haul, and if you want to track it, you can create your own list. I'll keep mine relatively generic. Top middle, I will hit the rate button now, and depending how your rates are set up, and they can be all across the board, we can do per mile, flat, per ton, per hundred, per unit of any kind, per piece, per pallet. You can automate them, or you can manually type them in on every load. There's a lot we can do with that. I'm going to click the rate button, and again, based on how you've set it up, I have what I call a flat contracted rate. The descriptions are also user-defined. The miles will auto-populate. We have our mileage software working in the background. Flat rate of a predetermined flat rate of $2,200, and I'm running a 49-cent per mile fuel surcharge for this customer this week. Fuel surcharges can be percentage per mile per anything you want, actually. We can auto-download from the Department of Energy's website each month. That will auto-adjust each week, I should say, or any period you want, really. It'll auto-adjust the customer's rate schedules, how you set them up, if you'd like to do that as well. You can also add any kind of accessorials. You can create whatever you want in this little list. Basically anything you can think of, either add now or later. So we'll just leave it at that. I'm going to click Save Load. It's going to auto-assign a load number. On the top there, 12462. If you need any other customer-specific numbers, you can type them in under the PO field or the shipper reference field, and these are also searchable fields. Okay, let's close it down, and it's going to show you where it ends up here on the pending load board. There's my load I just created, 12462. It's ready to be assigned to a driver. So I will assign from this screen rather than the load scheduler, since we already did that. I'm just going to right-click. When in doubt, right-click in our system. Assign. You get a very similar screen as you did in the load scheduler as far as any kind of conflicts, scheduling, DOT, stuff like that. Over here in the far left, there's a column for T for type of driver. You could have payroll drivers, could have owner-operators. You may have one or the other or both. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose this driver here. He's about 100 miles away in Milwaukee, Drew. Double-click his name. It brought in the pre-assigned equipment I had with him up in the top left-hand corner. You don't need to pre-assign equipment, but you can if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and click the Pay button now. And depending on how you set up your drivers to be paid, it's going to auto-calculate their pay at this point. This particular driver is an owner or operator, so he's getting 80% of the line haul revenue, and he's getting 100% of the fuel surcharge. Again, just like the billing side, the driver's pay side can be set up however you want. There's a lot we can do with that as well. There on my assign board is that load now. Also, if I jump back to that load scheduler, you'll see on this view here, Drew is assigned that load, so you can see it filled in his timeline there. Wherever you do something in the system, it'll appear anywhere else you might need to see it. It's really just a matter of where you're comfortable working. If the driver calls in loaded, you can right-click, change the status of the load. The driver was assigned. He is now en route. So I'm just going to paste my current date and time. Click OK. There's the driver now on my en route board. You can see it 3:54 Eastern Time. Driver called me out of Chicago. There's the ETA. There's a schedule time, and there's where the driver's going. And again, the columns you see here will be up to you. If you want to log in daily check calls, if you're a long-haul company and your driver's on the road for a couple of days and you want to log in daily check calls, you can do that. It'll keep updating these columns here. Ultimately, the driver calls in empty. Right-click, change status. He was en route. Now he's going to be complete. I'm going to click OK. Just, again, verify date and time. I would like to put the timestamp of my current time in there. Click OK. There he's down my completed board. This load is now empty. Now this driver went to Hartford. So one search we have built into the system here. At any point along the way, the load does not need to be completed. I'm going to right-click, search for backhauls. What it's going to do here, it's going to search my history based on the criteria you put in here. Now, it'll auto-populate some criteria that you can change. You can put whatever you want here, but I'm going to leave it the way it is. I'm asking my system to go ahead and search a 120-mile radius of Hartford. And go back 90 days, and you go back as long as you want. Show me any loads I've done out of that area. So my system brought back 23 records within a split second there. This is how far they would be from where the driver emptied up top there. This is a customer, which could be located somewhere else in the country. This is the contact and the phone and what they paid, where it picked up, where it delivered. You can sort these columns as well, who paid the most, whatever works for you. It's a quick resource to see what you've done, where, and how much you got paid. Okay, moving along to the billing, driver pay, and fuel taxes in no particular order. Go to billing first. Accounting, print and post freight bills. Here's the load we were just working on. Basically, paperwork comes in. Do a little verification on the bottom. Are the charges accurate? If not, maybe you need to add something. Maybe you need to go ahead and add some detention or something. And whatever you want there, really. Just throwing some examples out there. So there's the charges that are accurate. Shipments and current invoice tab. If you didn't already do it, you can throw these numbers in there if you need to. Now, some of mine are already in there. But if you need to add more, you can add more. There's a billing notes field right here. This field is very large. It keeps going over. If everything looks good, you can print the invoice if you're ready to do that. Or you can come in here if you want to attach a proof of delivery or any kind of load-related document. You can come to the imaging screen. There's a load number. I'm going to scan in a bill of lading, but you can create your whatever image types you need. And it'll scan in, again, whatever it is that you want it to scan in. Once the document gets scanned in here, it'll be attached to that load number forever, at which point if you ever need to retrieve it down the road, you can come in here and print it or email it right out of this screen. It's very quick to retrieve, too. Okay, so there it is. The bill of lading attached to that load number. So I'm going to close that down. And I'm going to come over here to the audit column and check the audit box. That's telling me when I'm ready to finally print some invoices. That one's ready to go. So I might go through more and do the same type of thing, whatever verification process you decide on. And then I'm going to print them all. We have about 25 to 30 varieties of invoices in the system. This is just one of them. Your logo will appear in any document in the system. There's some numbers in the top right-hand corner. Pickups, deliveries, customer, of course. All the charges are itemized out already on there. You don't need to retype anything. So again, it's just one style invoice that we have in the system. You can obviously print these out, email it right from here, create a PDF document from here, or you can do a rendition bill from here. Basically, you can print out to the screen, to a PDF file, or to paper. You can print out the invoice attached to the supporting documentation. And if you print it to a PDF file, you could email it right from here as well. So I'm going to close that down. It's going to ask me if everything printed okay. I'll say yes. And then you're going to go to the top, and everything you just printed now, you're going to post. And by posting, it's going to clear this screen and be on its way to QuickBooks. QuickBooks AR. You can see 12462 is no longer on the screen. Driver pay and settlement. Accounting, settle and post pay. So there's the load. There's the load we just did, 12462. You'll set a filter on here for a timeline more than likely. This driver, Drew, has another load on here. And then he's got one there. So he's an owner-operator. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to take out some miscellaneous deductions. You can create whatever you want. I had some stuff previously set up, so I'll just use some of this and show you how it works. So you might go through each driver. You're going to verify that the pay is calculated, which you'll see. If you can see in the middle there, it is, and it should be, depending on how you decide to do things. And then you can, again, do those deductions like I talked about. Select the whole list of all your drivers and print your settlement sheets off. Even though I'm doing an owner-operator, you can print settlement sheets off for the payroll guys as well. I'm just going to redo that. These are some different options you can show. There we go. So for driver Drew, this pay period, he did 2 loads, it looks like. He went from Atlanta to Milwaukee. And for that load, he got paid this much money based on however you set them up. You got 80% of the line haul, 100% of the fuel surcharge. This column here, which is your revenue, can be blocked. As you saw what I just did prior to this, there's certain options of things you can show and not show. Then he went from Chicago to Hartford. The pay for that load is right here, again, based on how you set it up. Below that, it says he took a $300 advance, probably on a fuel card. So that item already came in there, and he's an owner-operator, so we're taking that money back. Below that, he had a loan payment due for us. Took a loan for whatever reason. In this case, it looks like a truck loan. Again, these descriptions are whatever you make them. He's paid me 5 times. He has 5 left, balance of $500. And then another deduction of $75 for repairs. Again, whatever they need to be. Down the bottom, it'll total everything up and summarize it for them. $33.73.55 will be the total. You print these all off for all your drivers. Again, post, and they're going to remove themselves from the screen and be on their way to QuickBooks. Before we get to QuickBooks, I'll need to go to Accounting, run QuickBooks Export. You'll see little check boxes in there indicating some activity. It's going to hit Process. Process this one. And process this one. Open up QuickBooks. Go to my AR. Company we billed was Chicago, Illinois company, and they're in the current aging column. If I zoom in, you'll see 12462, which is the load we just built and processed. The total billing amount is over there to the right, $2698.55. I can zoom in here, and it does create an invoice in QuickBooks. Typically, it's not used as an invoice. It's used more of a reference tool because you will still receive cash in against this invoice in QuickBooks. But typically, you will print your invoice from Prophesy side. Now, we will also, if you want to, this is a setting, we can send AR information back to Prophesy to update whether or not a load has been paid. Your owner-operators get paid under vendor category. There's the driver we just sent over with his 2 loads. Shows he has 3 credits. Those are the deductions we took out. Fuel, loan, and insurance. I'm going to cut his check, and I'll just print to the screen here. So there, $33.73.55 matches the bottom of that settlement sheet we just printed a few seconds ago. So you can take this and attach it to that. Driver's happy. Also, we didn't just process any, but you can do payroll employees. Information will also interface to QuickBooks, into the payroll module if you are doing payroll in QuickBooks. Going back to Prophesy and fuel taxes, just going to post some information to the fuel tax module. I'm now in the fuel tax module. Here's all my tractor units. The one we were just dealing with was 1015, and underneath there is not the trip we just did. Oh, it's not there because we used a different tractor. 3008 maybe. There it is. There's his tractor. So within each trip, you'll see all the states automatically calculated all the miles in every state traveled in. This is using our computer miles in the background. I will come in here and manually type in a fuel purchase on this trip. However, we do integrate to most of the major fuel card companies. End of the quarter comes around. Top left-hand quarter. Choose the time frame you're working with. Fill out this little worksheet. And depending on what state you live in, well, actually all the states are in here. But if you don't live in Ohio, this form won't look familiar to you. But everything is filled in regardless of the state you live in, the state form you're using. Everything is filled in and calculated for you. And that is it. If you have any questions or would like to see a more detailed demonstration, more specific to your operation, please give us a call at 800-776-6706. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay, for that overview of the Prophesy dispatch solution and some of the efficiencies it can bring. Without further ado, I'd like to just move on to perhaps what we've all been waiting for, the iPad mini drawing. Because it's a recorded webinar, I've had to just draw a name here and we're not able to do it live, but I'd like to announce it here. Our lucky winner of an iPad mini for this webinar is Tim Schneider of Maya Trucking. So congratulations, Tim. Hopefully you're watching this. We'll be reaching out to you separately to check in with you and find out where you'd like that iPad mini shipped. And I believe you have a color choice as well, so important decisions to be made. But thank you all for joining us today for this webinar, kind of an unconventional webinar Wednesday, but you know, we do what we need to do to get the information out to you. So hopefully next month we will have a live webinar for you that you can all log on for. So for further details on how to get ahead in Q4 and beyond into 2016 using TMS software, or if you have questions on any of the tips we shared today, feel free to contact us. On the product, feel free to contact Jay Votzakis, who gave us the demo today, our sales manager. His contact information is up there on the screen. Or if you work with Kevin or one of our other representatives, feel free to reach us at the number below, our 800 number. And we are here to assist. So thanks again for joining us. Apologies again for not having the live webinar this time, but we'll get our technical difficulties straightened out and get that on deck for you next month in October. I hope you enjoyed the recording, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.